On this episode of Hudson Valley Hustle, I'm joined by Kristen Antoni, owner of Main Street Cutters in Cornwall. Kristen's been an entrepreneur since she was 12 years old. This is a great episode. You're going to get a ton of value out of it. Enjoy. I always wanted to work when I was younger,
Same.
right? Like
I couldn't wait to work.
I was so excited to get my working papers. I don't know if I don't know how old you are, but I remember going into, I think it was at my high school, where you can go to the main office and they gave you, I think it was like a little blue slip. I was like 14 or 15.
Yes.
And I was so excited.
I couldn't wait to work. I actually worked for free earlier than my working papers just because I wanted to be doing something, but definitely was really eager to get that financial benefit of like having my own money and working for something. I couldn't wait. And I worked a lot young. I always had, my parents both had a really good work ethic. I saw that. And it was something that it's an important factor. And I couldn't wait to work, and I liked it. I even liked babysitting and that kind of thing. Like before you would have working papers.
Absolutely.
Like just that I did this and then I got this back just was like, it was cool to me to be like, I got this money myself. I'm gonna go to the candy store and buy myself something with this money that I earned. So I think that was instilled in me pretty young, and I just liked that feeling. Yeah,
it's the best. Like it's just the best, earning your own money and like this is mine. I did this. I remember in the summertime this was before I could have got my working papers. So I must have been like, I don't know, 13 or something. And my dad was helping out my grandfather with his construction company down in the city, and I would go down with them.
Yeah.
I'd get up at like 5 o'clock in the morning in the summer.
Yeah. Like
12 or 13 to go down there, and they, my grandfather, my uncle would pay me like $50 or something.
Yep.
And I'd be ecstatic.
Yeah.
It was like, it's in you. Like I think it's got to be in you.
It's definitely in you. I was like 12 and printing out flyers on like a computer and putting them in my neighbor's mailbox that I would like braid their hair, do twisties was like a thing at the time for like $5. And I remember when I started working in a salon, I took one of the stations when the salon was moving and put it in my bedroom. And we actually had somebody move onto my street when I was like, I don't know, I was probably like 16. And my mom came home from work one day and I was blowing out my neighbor that she had never met in my bedroom. And she was like, you can't do this. But I was just like, I liked it. And I'm very, very grateful that I knew young what I wanted to do, because I couldn't imagine like getting to the point where it's time to like go to college or find a job where you don't know what you want, or like what area you want to be in. So I knew really young that I wanted to do hair. I liked marketing myself to my little like friends in my neighborhood. Yeah. And, it was, I went with it.
Yeah. You also don't want to be like 50 and still not know what you want and realize how miserable you are.
Yeah. And I think that there's something to be said for always doing something different and like what's next and like growing and that kind of thing. What I was doing as far as wanting to do hair at 12 is different than I feel now, and I'm sure different than I'll feel in 10 years. But I felt very fortunate. Even now when I have, clients that come in that are getting ready to go to college that are like, I don't really know what I want to do. I'm like, oh my God, thank God I knew, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I feel like that's a lot of pressure to try to figure it out.
It really is. And like, and you're trying to fit them into a mold too, right? You're saying, well, go spend a bunch of money and figure out what you want to do.
Yeah.
Which to me personally, think it's the biggest waste of money out there. You can you can earn way more in 4 years trying things out than spending money to go read out of a book and have somebody talk to you.
And right. I mean, if you don't know what you want to do, what are you even putting your effort into? It's time and money wasted. It's not, continuing education is not even for everybody. And I feel like those trades are so important. And I think that the more that college focus has been so driven to so many people now, that those trades are going to be like the people that are killing it in a few years. Because
I think they're killing it now.
Oh, totally,
I work with, we have some like trades that are businesses, their clients.
Yes.
And they're crushing it.
Totally.
Because if you're good at it, you can crush it.
Yep.
And it's like frowned upon. It's like looked down on. I don't understand.
And it's just that finding like what you really enjoy and then turning that into, and I think it's hard for people to say like, find something that you love and you'll never work a day in your life. Like I love my job, but there are days where I really love it and I'm like, oh, this was a great day. And there's days where I'm like, that was hard. There's hard things to deal with. It's definitely still work, but I love it. So I feel like even taking that out of it, like you have to work for what you want, and anything that's worth working for is work.
is hard. It's difficult.
It's hard.
Yeah,
it's hard.
It's 100%.
It's definitely
And
hard.
so that's kind of one of the reasons why I started this, and I call it Hudson Valley Hustles, because this hustle culture has been so like brought up over the last few years, all these side hustles and making money, and like these entrepreneurs that are just taking selfies with Lamborghinis and showing like, this is what it's like to be an entrepreneur. It's become so trendy to be an entrepreneur. It's like, that's not what this is, right?
I
like,
haven't gotten my Lamborghini yet.
yeah, no, it's not that.
Yeah.
It's not that. So like, I want to talk to people that are actually really doing it,
Yes.
and not just renting a mansion for a day to take some selfies in.
Yeah.
That's what this is about. It's like
Yeah.
hearing those stories, hearing the grind, hearing people that were doing hair
Yeah.
at 12 years old
Yeah.
in your bedroom, right? Like stuff like that. That's the kind of stuff we want to hear, because that's the real
Right.
side of things.
Right.
So take me to take me from that point, I guess, now to owning Main Street Cutters, because
Okay.
that's
So I was 12 doing hair in my bedroom. Actually, I wasn't. I did like to send out little flyers and things in my neighborhood when I was super young. I went to cosmetology school, NFA, got my license while I was in high school. And right before I started cosmetology, my mother had said where she was going, my daughter's about to go to cosmetology school. It was a guy that owned a salon semi-locally, had been from the city, was working in his house. I went and worked there for about 2 months. And then actually a friend of mine whose mom had a hair salon closer to my house, which was Main Street Cutters, had said, why are you driving all the way out there? Like, just work here. I was, friends with her daughter. I had kind of like already been in the salon a lot as like a kid. We would go in and sweep and stuff on like, days that we would have sleepovers or whatever. So I started working there while I was in high school. I did my 2 years of cosmetology school there. I worked there while I was in school. I did end up going to college for entrepreneurship, and I would work home in the summers. And I had kind of met another guy who had another salon, and I worked for him also in the summers. So I was either at school or at work much of that time. And I liked it. I wanted to work. I liked making money. I started to see the benefit of working a lot. Definitely was that hustle culture. My mentor worked like nobody I've ever seen. And I don't have family. I don't have entrepreneurship in my family for the most part. My parents were like more corporate employees. And I have no hair salons, background, no hairdresser background in my family. So she was definitely a mentor to me. But that's the way that it was. And that's the way that it was then. Things have changed now where it's like there is kind of more of a push to find that balance. But I ended up doing a lot for this guy that had a salon in Middletown and in Rockland. And it was just the environment that I saw happening. I knew that I wanted to own my own salon, and I was taking a lot of things from the salon that I worked at in Long Island while I was at college and the salons that I was working at then, of what I liked and what I didn't like. And there was a lot of cattiness, a lot of toxicity. And it was an environment that I felt like I didn't want to be in. So I was so grateful that I worked at Main Street Cutters young, because if I had had these experiences in these other salons first and thought that that was the way that it was, I probably would have never even wanted to be a hairdresser. I think really nurturing that like culture of everybody supporting each other, that friendly feeling, like we really truly are like a family at the salon. A lot of us have worked together for a long time, and the people that have come in that are newer employees that are newer to the salon just like emphasize that feel. So for me, having to shift then from, I graduated college, I came back and worked, and I had a lot of respect for the woman that I was working for, but I did know that I wanted to own my own salon, and she had kind of been burned by employees that worked and built their clientele and then left. In some, it's business, that it happens. There's ways to do it and ways not to do it. And she had been in business for a lot of years. So there were ways that people did it that was okay, ways that weren't so nice. And I just said to her, like, she ended up having 2 employees leave, no notice. She was like scrambling, and she was like, you have to come back and work. I was actually planning, my sister was living in the city, and I was kind of like, have like 10 cents in my bank account, graduating from college. I'll go home, work a little bit, and then move. And she was like, you have to come. I need help. These stylists had just left. And I went back, and then about 3 years later, I ended up buying the salon. She was starting to, sort of phase out. Her family had moved to Florida. She was starting to spend more and more time in Florida. and we talked about it. And I was really clear with her that I wanted to have my own salon. I didn't want to be one of these people that kind of like screwed her over. So I wanted to be upfront about it, that I definitely will come back and help you, but I do plan on leaving. I want my own salon. So I think it was just that continual conversation that was something that I was working towards. And it just happened to be that it worked out that it was a time that she was kind of phasing out. Here, she did still work. She stayed on as an employee.
Gotcha.
And then I had to shift from being an employee to being an owner, and that was a huge learning experience, but it's something that I'm very grateful that I had the opportunity to do.
Yeah, that's huge. Timing, like talk about timing.
Yeah.
That's major factor there. That's amazing. Yeah, buying a business is always interesting to me. I've not been through that process, but I'm just curious, like what was one of the biggest challenges of going through that?
I think the biggest challenge was, I mean, I have girls that were my co-workers that were there when I was in my early 20s that then became employees that are still there today. So making that shift of we are, co-workers to now you're an employee, but never wanting to come off like, I never wanted to be the type of boss that was like, you will do what I say, that kind of thing. So making that shift where like that respect was still there and that things and changes that I wanted to make were the way that I wanted to bring the salon. It was owned by a different person. I do operate differently. There's like things that I wanted to do differently. But so I think that shift was probably the biggest challenge. And then I ran numbers. I did all that kind of thing preparing to buy the shop. But the other shock to me was how much you spend on like toilet paper and paper towels. I was like, knew exactly what I was going to spend on products and color and, operating expenses. But I was like, man, we're going through a whole lot of toilet paper.
Who is going to the bathroom?
Oh my gosh.
All day long. That's funny.
So, I am continuing to learn what works and what doesn't.
Sure.
And the best ways to do things and the best ways to, have employees, treat employees, like attract new employees.
Sure.
That's
a challenge now, right?
It was, I'm really lucky with the group that I have, really, really, really lucky. But it's twofold because I feel like it is a very important thing as a hair salon. It's the relationships that you have with clients is the number one thing. There are salons everywhere. You cannot walk 100 feet in Cornwall, which is where my salon is, without walking a barbershop, hair salon. They're everywhere. And I have close relationships with a lot of the local salons. Everybody does a good job. Everybody can go somewhere and find some place that does a good haircut. It's those relationships. So it became, for me, not just having a good relationship with my clients and making sure that they felt valued and that they were getting value out of the service that they were coming in for and that they felt welcomed, but then also really it shifted from my clients being my number one priority to the employees being my number one priority. And, I can still to this day learn how to be better at that and want to do better at that. I've made mistakes and I've done things that were good and not good and positive for the salon and not positive for the salon. But I feel like that balance of having to really kind of answer to two sets of people was another big change for being like the owner of a salon instead of just working in a salon. But it's something that I have enjoyed, and I feel like it's an important part of having a business is, yes, the clients are super. You don't have a salon without clients, but you also, for me, don't have a salon without your employees. So making sure that both of those groups are really like valued and taken care of, and
Yeah, you're serving both of them.
Yes.
You have to. Yeah.
Yes.
And no, that's huge. That's really good. That's really good advice. What would you say to somebody then that's like, I'm sure there's plenty of people out there right now that are working for somebody else, whether it's at a salon or doing a job, right? Like doing a thing, doing a service, performing an act that thinks, hey, I don't want to do this for somebody else. I want to go do this on my own. I can go do it. What's a shock that came to you besides the toilet paper that was like, holy crap, now I'm an owner. This is something else I have to worry about now.
Well, so the number one thing when I bought the salon, just the timing of it, I had two girls that were going to be my employees as soon as I took over the salon that were about to have babies. And they were having their first kids. And that was something to me that I was just like, I am responsible. Like these people are paying their bills through the decisions being made by this business. And I really I took it so seriously that this is something that I have to make sure that I'm doing my very best, and nothing's perfect and there's going to be mistakes. And I think that when you make mistakes, it's something that you can really learn from. So it's not even necessarily a bad thing, but I really wanted to make sure that those mistakes didn't end up negatively affecting the people that worked for me. So I think that right off the bat, having that, like, I have this real responsibility to take this so seriously and do my very, very best that I can, because this isn't playing around anymore. Like, these people are about to have kids that they're responsible for, and the decisions that I make will affect that. So I think that level of accountability and responsibility is something that you can't really be prepared for until you're doing it. And it is, I did have definitely some people that were like, I was making a lot of money. I had a big clientele. The salon was successful. I was successful as just a hairdresser, and I could come to work and do my people and leave and have nothing to worry about, nothing to do, no one to answer to. And so taking that leap of now all this extra responsibility was definitely the biggest, shock factor. And it's not for everyone, but if that's something that you really want, I think being open with, whoever it is that you deal with, if there's a leadership team in your salon, the owner, whoever, depending on how big the salon is, if that's something that everyone is aware of, that that's your goal, then I think it doesn't come off as that, like, you built yourself up and you left, that mentality from everybody involved. And then it can be like, you're supported in doing that. That that's something that you wanted to do, that you are eventually trying to do. And then everybody's kind of clear on that.
Yeah. No, there is a lot of pressure riding on you, right? Because any problem, any issue,
yes.
You're the one to solve it, right?
Yes.
So, but you're also, like you said, you're responsible for not just your livelihood anymore. You're responsible for however many team members
and
you have.
And when the toilet overflows or the air conditioner breaks and we have to have a crane move a $13,000 air conditioner on top of the building. Happened? Oh yeah, that happened.
Yeah, that's wild. How many employees do you have now? And are they employees or are they subs?
So right now that we are a team of 13.
Okay.
I have 2 women who were working for the salon that rented space when I bought the salon.
Yep.
They were like OGs. They are both still there. I left them as is. That was the style that they wanted to work. It's worked. They are very much a part of the team. But everyone else is employees,
Gotcha.
W-2, commission, stylists. And like I said, I'm really lucky for who I work with. The girls are hardworking, and my role now is to try to grow the business in a way that works for everyone. I have a variety of ages. There are some younger girls that are really looking to hustle and make, grow their clientele and build up their career. And then I have some women who are older, have younger kids, have reached a point where they're fully booked and they can kind of like set their prices, set their hours, have a little bit more flexible schedule, but are at the point where they want to have some time off to be home with their kids and days off and that kind of thing. So just finding that perfect balance of making that all work is, something that I really enjoy doing. And the group that is at the salon is so important. So having, people that you really feel like are wanting the same things as you, trying to get the salon to move in the direction that I'm trying to move in. And I'm continually trying to learn myself how to be a better leader, a better motivator. And kind of besides money, just be like, what is it that you want? What do you want your career to look like? What do you want your lifestyle to look like? And then just shift and help them kind of direct into that path so that they can be where they want to be, in whether it's time off or more money. I think that that's what I really like to do, is kind of focus on the business and the people in the business. And I do still work behind the chair. I haven't been able to remove myself from that because I do really still enjoy my clients and still doing hair too. So
that's great. So you still maintain a list? You still have a...
Yes, I do.
How often are you doing that?
So I'm still 4 days behind the chair. I would eventually like to transition to a little bit less than that so I can spend a little bit more time working on the business. But, again, it's a process.
Yeah, of course it is. But if you didn't love it too, like you probably
I
wouldn't
do. I do love it. I do love it. And I don't mind working a lot. I work a lot of hours. I get up early, I go to bed late. So I make the time to do the things for the business that I need to. And then I also make time to still have my clients.
Yeah, sure. And then what about the freedom of doing your own thing, right? The freedom, right? But like, because I feel like the freedom kills a lot of entrepreneurs because they don't use the opportunity and the time that they have and the freedom that they have to actually work on the things they're supposed to do.
Right. So I feel like kind of the freedom of, yes, I could say, okay, I have this event is going on. I need to take this day off. I do have the freedom to do that. But I also feel like I would never want to be in a position where I would say that for myself and not for my employees. Mm-hmm. So I feel like like the way that parents say, like you're as happy as your most unhappy kid. I feel like as a business owner, you're as successful as your most unsuccessful stylist or, whatever employee. So I feel like making sure that whatever benefits of that I'm giving to myself, that my stylists also have the opportunity for that as well. Because just that resentment of like, I'm going to do whatever I want is not necessarily something that someone's going to want to like stay with. And there's things that you have to do. There's things that I have to do. There's things that they have to do. But the freedom of schedule is nice, but I think that the hair salon industry has for a long time maybe not been viewed in the way that I think that it should be. Anybody that I know that's a hairdresser works really hard. And I like to work towards providing the girls like retirement accounts and vacation time and that flexible schedule for them too, because it's a career. I mean, you can make it a career. There's a lot of times people go to cosmetology school and like just dabble and not really take it seriously. But if you want to take it seriously, you can make it a career. And I feel like there should be a business or a place where you can be employed and be treated like you're a real employee and have the benefits of having a real career. And
a life too, yes. Right? Because life does not revolve around this thing. Right. I mean, it does, but
but that's the shift is I feel like the hustle culture that I grew. I mean, I watched the woman who was my mentor was like a insanely hard worker. And I think that there's a lot of value to that. But I also think that, having some time off and really seeing like what's really important, what you want to spend your time doing, you have to have that in there also. Otherwise you're going to have burnout, you're going to have resentment.
Absolutely.
And it's changed. The workforce now is definitely different. I hate when I hear people say like, oh, the younger people don't want to work, because I've been very fortunate to have a group of 20, 21, 22-year-olds that are insanely hard workers and very reliable and very trustworthy and show up for work and really do what they have to do. It's just being in an environment that you want to be in and working towards something that you feel like is worth putting in that work for.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, you can't expect an employee to want it and be in it as much as you are, because it's your baby, and right?
That's a hump that you have to get over. Is no one on planet Earth will care about my salon the way that I do. Not my husband, not my kids, not my employees. They shouldn't. And if somebody starts to care about more than I do, then I have a problem.
Then you're doing something wrong. Right, exactly.
Right,
yeah,
right.
You can't expect them to.
Right.
And I feel like that's a problem with a lot of bosses and leaders, is that they expect the people that they're serving to be in it as much as they are.
Right. I think that you have to be realistic with what you expect from people. But also I think you can surround yourself with people that are like-minded and trying to move in the way that you're going. And I feel like even in the last couple of years, I've changed how I do things in the salon and really kind of focused more on, growth and really kind of asking those questions of what it is that you want, where you want to be at, and kind of making your career what you want it.
Yeah. How often are you having those kinds of conversations with
I try to do like one-on-ones with the girls maybe like bi-monthly.
Gotcha.
Schedules and that kind of thing.
Yeah. Is it formal? Is it kind of like informal?
No, so we always say like we should have our own podcast where everyone has no names, because we could be like millionaires by now. If we just kind of like said the situations that go on like in our color room. But so, I have them informally. It's not something if I'm setting a goal with one of the girls, this isn't like you're going to get a slap on the wrist if this doesn't get achieved. It's really just kind of meeting them where they're at, seeing what they want. And doing whatever I can to get them to be where they want to be in whatever area it is. It's not even just work, like relationships, financial, lifestyle, that kind of thing.
Yeah. Just keeping your ear to like what's going on. What's
Exactly,
going on in your world? What
so
do you
I
need?
try to, I try to schedule them so that I really can kind of, so
Sure.
that I can do that. But it's not like, okay, let's like take out our papers and pens and make it like super formal. We're not really that.
But you make it a point to do that
in general. Yeah.
That's fine. Yeah, no, but you make it a point to make sure that
Yes.
that happens, to kind of have those touch points with everybody. Because
Yes.
with day to day, it's freaking impossible to do that with everybody. I get that. No, that's really good. Any other pieces of advice that you have for somebody that's either thinking about going on their own or that is that 12-year-old that's.
So I think if you are someone that wants to hustle, wants to work a lot, you can't do it on your own. I am the one that will care the most forever. That will be the case. But I have been able to get the salon where it is with people that are with me. So I think that knowing that if you want to work on your own, it's a totally different environment than owning a salon. And just kind of making sure that you surround yourself with people that you enjoy spending a lot of time with, because we do work a lot, working really hard, putting in the time to better yourself in a leadership role and really working on yourself that way, not just technical skills with haircuts and colors and that kind of thing. And it's a lot of work, but if it's something that you enjoy, I think everyone should have a career that they like to go to. Not that it's never work, not that there aren't hard days, but that the pros should outweigh the cons. And if you can find that for yourself and make money doing it, then that's great.
That's the dream, right?
Yeah.
That really is. I mean, that's what we would all want, right?
Yeah.
And sometimes it's doing it on your own. Sometimes it's finding a place where you love to go, like I'm sure your staff does.
I mean, I feel so much pride when girls will come back from vacation and be like, I couldn't wait to get back to work. Like, I missed you guys, that kind of thing. It's powerful. And I feel like very lucky to be in a position where I am working with women that feel like that. And I want to do everything in my power that I can to continue to improve myself, to grow their businesses, grow my business, and just kind of, have an environment where you really feel like you can make a career for yourself and enjoy it.
That's great. And that's a good job on you.
Thank you.
Because it is. Because why? It has to be, right? Because everything funnels back to you. You create that environment, right? Everything good that happens to the business is
and you have to be prepared to own up to what goes wrong, because mistakes are made. I've definitely not been the best. I mean, I could come on a podcast and talk about all the wonderful things, but there are things that I have totally fucked up. And you can either learn from it, you can blame somebody else, or you can be like, you know what? I didn't handle this situation in the best way. And the next time that something like that comes about, you can do it differently. Change things as you go. You have to be able to adapt to ever-changing things. I mean, the way that people are finding businesses, making appointments, what type of appointments people are interested in is always changing in the beauty industry. So to be able to kind of see that and roll with it and, improve on it, you have to be able to you have to have many hats.
Yeah. Well, you're killing it. You really are. You're killing it. The salon looks awesome. Everybody's great there.
Thank you.
So how can people get in touch with you? How can they find you?
So our website is mainstreetcutters.com. Our Instagram is Main Street Cutters, and Facebook also we have. And
Main Street is it Main Street in Cornwall? Is that
Main Street in Cornwall? Well, so no, it's a little confusing. We are now on Quaker Avenue. We were on Main Street Cutters.
Oh, gotcha.
We were on Main Street, hence the name, but we have since moved to Quaker at 45 Quaker Avenue, Suite 201.
Sweet.
Yeah.
Yeah. that was awful. But anyway, thanks so much for coming on.
Thank you so much for having me.
It was
a lot of fun.
This is great. So good
Thank
luck
you.
with everything.
Thank you so much. Thanks.